After being rejection by 100 girls, he tried to declare himself. A boy named Aju decides that he wants to stop failing at everything and will ask the god of love to help him find more women. Then he learns that this drought will soon end, and when it does, all 100 of his soulmates will fall on him at once and kill him. During a school break, a boy named Aju tells Asakawa, a girl he likes, that he wants to date her. At first, she responds by listing many good things about the boy. But then she changes her mind and tells him that the thought of dating him makes her sick, which breaks his heart. After all, things were going well until she said that. She then ran away and left him behind, which made him sad because he thought he wouldn't be able to get over his first rejection. The next day, his friend-called friend tries to cheer him up a little, but fails, and then asks him how many rejections he has had in a row so far. And Aju was too sad to answer such a hurtful question. His friend says he doesn't mind asking that kind of question because he won't see him again that day anyway. He says that since his last rejection, there have been a total of 100. Friend says that he is impressed by the boy's deep psychology and makes fun of Aju for calling him a flirting hero, but he doesn't like that name. He has been dumped 100 times, so he knows he can't do anything with girls. A friend asks him, when was the first time he talked about himself? Aju remembers that it was when he was 8 years old. The guy is already used to being turned down, but hearing this makes him even more determined by calling him a flirt monster. But Aju remembers being turned down before, and a strong desire to find a girlfriend so they can hold hands arises. He can feel her heart beating fast, which makes friend wonder why Aju is so turned down when his friend is good-looking, smart, and good at sports. Aju is also very popular with everyone in this. He thinks his friend is weird and asks if he would be interested in him. His friend tells him to be careful and not die in high school, even if it means beating his record for being turned down. Then Aho feels bad about what he said and begs the god of love to help him find a high school girlfriend, so he can be a happier student. And then he hears a mysterious voice say that it will help him with this. As he looks at the offering table, he sees the face of a man, but he thinks it is an offering thief. The man tells him that he is actually the god of that shrine, and he tries to reassure the boy that he will meet the perfect girl in high school somehow. He is confused, though, and wonders if this girl really wants to be with him. When he hears the god say that the girl is hot, he thinks that it means something to eat. So, the god of love tells him that he is talking about the girl who was meant to be with him all along. That is, she would have been picked for him as soon as he was born as his perfect romantic partner. Aju then shows that he wants to know more about what he was talking about. God says that when soulmates meet, they both feel a shock that wraps around their bodies and makes them passionate in a way that they can't control. But he warns the boy to be careful because women only feel this right away, while men like someone over time. Aju repeats what he said, which makes God mad. The guy did look like a parrot after all. After he says sorry, God tells them to hurry up. Following the explanation, the subject is quickly brought up again, as if the person wasn't mad just now. Then he says that soulmates are meant to meet at a certain point in their lives, and Aju asks him about that. God, he thinks the boy is smart. He says that not everyone should have a soulmate because some people will never be with someone, which is against what God said. He says, though, that some people do not have someone predestined, and that not everyone is meant to have someone predestined. It was something that only a few lucky people could do. Aju gets it, but he still wonders if he will really meet his soulmate in high school. God tells him yes, and goes on to say more. He says Aju will find a total of 100 people who are pestilence. As long as there is power, he is happy, but it soon dawns on him that nothing could be true, so Aju asks if he can set fire to that sanctuary if he is lying, and God also has his flaws cut out in this case. A month later, Aju goes to the ceremony for acceptance into his high school. But on the way to school, when he runs into two girls, he tries to say sorry, but one of them gets mad and tells him to watch where he's going. Then, when all three of them look at each other, an odd connection happens at the same time, making them all feel lost. Then Aju feels a shock go through his body. He thinks about what the god of love might have meant by this feeling, and also about whether these two girls are his soulmates. He then looks down because he thinks they still don't know. What just happened? The boy walks up to them and extends his hands, but they are shy around him. The girl with pink hair suddenly falls to the ground and tells him she sprained her foot. She wants him to take her to the hospital. Aho asks her if she was really hurt and feels like shit for hurting her soulmate on their first contact. And the girl with pink hair is thrilled by his concern. After all, she is a stranger, and Eiju feels bad about hurting her badly. The other girl, on the other hand, is jealous of seeing them talk and says she sprained her foot too. Then Eiju starts hitting himself because things were worse than he thought they would be. The girls get up at the same time to stop him, and Eiju asks if they haven't sprained their feet. They go back to the ground and act like they're in pain, and he carries them both to the hospital. But on the way, he feels like they are carrying him, and the pink-haired girl squeezes in closer on Eiju. Then they both cling to him, making him feel like he can't believe what's happening. He then tells them to go to the hospital. Soon and on the way, he finally introduces himself after all that trouble. Their names were Indin and Hanazono Hakari, and they were both in the same class as him. But all the girls talk at once, so he tells them to speak one at a time. As they do, two other girls cross their path and start talking about the love that exists at that school. They say that there is a field of pink clovers in the courtyard, and the story goes that if you confess and hand over a 4-leaf clover found there, the person will definitely agree to go on a date. The girls' ankles feel better right away when they hear this, and they say that they remember they have a commitment. Ajo walks through the school hallways after class and says that he didn't think he would help the teacher look for his contacts, and he also didn't think it would take 4 hours to do. This was a bad thing because he wanted to talk to the girls after class. He missed the chance to do that, though. But when he looks out the window, he sees the girls down there looking for the shamrock of love. This surprises him because they had been looking for that for 4 hours, at the same time that he and the teacher were looking for the lenses. Seeing all that work makes him wonder if this is for him. So Ju decides to go down and ask Inda if it's really that hard to find the 4-leaf clover. She tries to brush it off by saying that she wasn't, but he knows that the girl was too embarrassed to say it. He then asks Hanazono where she is, and she says that the girl must have gone to the bathroom. Eiju then changes the subject and offers to buy her a drink. She must be tired of looking for the clover, but the girl asks him why he is doing it. Eiju knows that he is bothering her because they are new friends, but he won't leave them now. The girl is shocked and doesn't know what to say. In this case, she says the first thing that comes to mind. In spite of saying that he is so gross that it makes her want to throw up, she takes his drink so that it doesn't go to waste. As she walks out the door, the girl thanks her for the drink after all that trouble. As Andra leaves, Hanazono shows up and asks what Eiju is doing at school. He replies that he saw them looking for the clover a long time ago and decided to bring them something to drink. When he holds out the can for the girl to take, Hanazono feels the shock from before and says that he couldn't drink that drink by himself, so he suggests that he drink it with her. In her mind, Hanazono thinks this is the PE, but his plan doesn't work out. As Eiju pulls a 190 ml can from his pocket, he says that 350 milliliters of kainin was too much for him. He was ready for that, but the girl says it's because half of 350 milliliters is 175 milliliters, which is 15 ml less than the 190 milliliters in the small K he bought. The best thing for them to do would be to share the drink, and since she insisted, he gave in and drank half of it. He then gives her the can, and Eiju only then figures out that it was going to be a kiss through the can. Ajo asks her as she starts to shake the drink what the girl has, and then the K slips out of his hand, and Eiju gives Hanazono a tissue so she can clean her juice-stained clothes. It looks like the indirect kiss is no longer going to happen, but instead of the scarf, she takes his hand and tells him she wants to be her girlfriend. She says this may sound very sudden, but she fell in love with him at first sight and never looked back. Hanazono says that she's not the only one who likes him, which is why she decided to tell him right away so she wouldn't lose him to someone else. The girl then tells him she wants to be with him, which makes him very happy because it's the first time a girl has done that. Inda walks in and breaks up their moment. The girl drops the juices she was bringing him because she doesn't know what they taste like. She brought a lot of different kinds. Next, Inda went over to Hanazono to fight her because she was faster than her. Hanazono tries to lie and say that he didn't know she liked him too. but Inda says she heard her say that she wasn't the only one who liked him. She knew that, but Inda tells Eiju that doesn't mean she likes him. It has the usual bite and blow that has to be there in a respectful tundra, and well, he tells her he will only date her if he puts himself down for her, which she says is tough. Soon after, though, the girl threw herself at him and asked to go on a date. There was a dead silence, and they both tried to force him to choose between them, but he couldn't. When he got home, he wasn't sure what to do because he liked both of them, which made him wonder if they were his soulmates. He agreed to give an answer the next day, but Joe still doesn't know what he's going to do. He talks to the Dua of Love about it, and he tells him that both of them are his soulmates, so they would both be the best choice. In other words, he says, just throw in some polyamory and everything will be fine. This makes Aho ask a question. He doesn't know what to say to the god about what he should do in this tough situation. Aiju's case is unique because he had a very grand hello on the day he was born, which caused the god of love to make a terrible mistake, and Ajo asks what it would be. God tells him that it was a Friday, and that Loda was working well while the castle in the sky was showing. The guy made a mistake because he was watching TV and forgot to fill out Aiju's form with his 100 soulmates. The boy is sitting there crying because he thinks it's not fair. What the love god did to him. If he only had one soulmate, he wouldn't have to be going through this mess inside. The worst news, though, was about to come. God tells them that they can love each other deeply and be happy if they find their soulmate. But what if this doesn't happen? Something terrible could happen. Both people would die. He says that having a soulmate is a blessing, and if someone lets that happiness slip away, the only thing left is misfortune. In other words, if Ajo chooses to date only one of his soulmates, the other one dies. Aiju is even more scared about picking which girl to marry, even though it means killing the other girl and making all the boys suffer. The god of love only says it was bad and good. He goes back to his house and roots along the way until he comes up with a great idea. He wants to go on dates with both of them, but not let them know. That way, he can save both of them from Death Geek the next day. When he goes to talk to them, Hanazondo greets him normally, but Inda, he tells them right away to follow through on what they agreed upon, and when they look at him, they think he looks like he swam in mud before talking to them. He then reaches out to the girls and says he wants to date both of them, but Inda doesn't like this shady talk at all. And Eiju remembers the night before when he meant to date them in secret, but made a mistake and decided not to do things that way. He tells them that there are some things that he can't just decide, and that going between the two is one of them. He says he will do anything to make them happy because he really likes both of them. Because of this, Ju gets up the nerve to ask them both to be his girlfriends again. Inda was about to complain again until he showed them 2 4-leaf clovers. Eiju tells her that he asked a teacher to let him into school yesterday after class when she asked where he got them. Both of them know everything about this. Because he spent the whole night looking for clovers, he is also very dirty. But Inda calls him stupid because he is in high school and still believes in love, sympathy, and she tells him that she won't accept his condition that they date each other, even though Eiju is trying not to hurt them both. He says he's sorry, and she agrees, but she keeps getting angry, and Hanazono has to hold her down. He tells her that they were working hard to find those clovers. So he thought they liked it when he told them that. When the girls heard this, they stepped back, and Hanazono told him that she doesn't mind if he has another girlfriend besides her because she loves him too much and thinks that sharing him is better than not having him. The girl then grabbed his arm and asked him to make her happy, and Inda did the same thing, but Hanazono didn't understand what they were saying after that. Speaking out loud and clearly, he tells them that he will make them both happy. This is the start of Aiju's harem, but he still needs to meet 98 more soulmates, or girls, to keep him from dying.
Rintaro says the next day that he's glad he finally has a girlfriend, but he's really talking to a pole. When the girls get there, Inda starts to wonder why he was talking to a pole. Rintaro says he couldn't hold it in because he was too happy. Inda tells him he can talk to her instead, but she gets too embarrassed. Hikari takes the chance and holds Taro's hand. He can't handle how he feels, and Indy starts to feel jealous, but he grabs her hand too. Even though she acts like she doesn't like it, the three of them enjoy walking to school together. They see a boy running while being chased by the vice principal. Hikari says that she is known for being tough and that if she sees someone running in school, she will catch them and kiss them. Hikari says that the vice principal used to be a star sprinter, so it's hard to get away from her. Hikari then asks Rintaro if he's ever kissed someone, but he says he hasn't because they are his first students. Have girlfriends ever? After hearing this, Ender and Hikari understood that the person who acts first will get to kiss him for the first time. During lunch, the three of them spend time together. Hikari feeds Rintaro an egg roll while Enda is busy with a cat. He loves it so much that he starts to cry, which makes Enda angry. She tells him she made cookies for him, but when she tries to feed him, she hits him in the eye instead. He eats her cookie and tells her it was great, but Hikari pulls out a baked good as she opens it. The ends are broken, she finds. Her hands are dirty, so she feeds him with her mouth because she doesn't know how else to do it. Rintaro finds her too cute after seeing her up close. To get closer to him, Hikari starts to bite the snack. When Enda tries to join, she pokes Rintaro in the other eye, and his hair gets in the way. This makes Rintaro sneeze, and he breaks his bakey with Hikari when he sees that his eyes are all red. She is afraid he has a cold, but all of a sudden she grabs him and tells him he can get better by giving it to someone else. Hikari stops her because they can't be sure he has a cold. However, she still wants to kiss him. She tries to take his temperature through their mouths, saying that it's something that their family always does. But Enda stops them and tries to knock Rintaro out so she can give him mouth-to-mouth. She is pushed away by Hikari, and the two of them are mad at each other. Rintaro finds out they were trying to kiss him at last. Enda doesn't agree with this, but her face shows that she knows they want to kiss him. He's shocked. When Hikari tells him that he has to choose who to kiss first, he offers to kiss them both because he has also been wanting to do that. This makes them fight. But Rintaro stops them again by saying he has a plan for an answer that he made the day before because he was too excited. He gave it a lot of thought. They will keep the first kiss. They won't say who kissed whom first, so both of them will have an equal chance of being his first kiss, and he'll think of both of them as his first. The girls are worried about how they can keep it a secret, but Rintaro tells them that they will wear masks and use dice to cover their ears. The girls will choose where to stand at random, and he will kiss them all without knowing who they are. Then go back to where he started, and the girls will pick new places at random again. He won't know who he kissed in the end. At first, Hikari thinks it's a good idea, but Enda is worried that something could go wrong. He might lie. So Rintaro shows his answer is for them to promise under their breath that they won't cheat. Rintaro tells him he will put a needle in his eye if he breaks his word, which Enda thinks is stupid. The girls agree with the plan, and they start to carry it out. Rintaro is worried that he will run into them. He tries to figure out where they are since he can't see, but he ends up feeling Hikari's chest and knows right away who it is. He ends up. So they have to start over with their plan. As they do so, a gust of wind pulls up their skirt, and the cat starts scratching at it. This leads Enda to kick Rintaro away because she thinks he is touching her. He starts to hit her, but she takes off her headphones and sees that it was the cat. They decide to try again, but each time they fail. They can't kiss because something always goes wrong, and everyone is upset, as Enda says. The plan did not work out as planned, which makes Hikari angry. They begin to blame each other and fight over who Rintaro belongs to. He stops them and then runs off, saying that he is to blame because he isn't experienced. He calls for the vice principal, and out of the blue, she shows up to punish him for running. He is scared to death when she steps on top of him, but all of a sudden, Enda stops her Hikari and acts like she sees a school inspector. This makes the vice principal nervous. She quickly crawls away from the girls and asks Rintaro why he moves so quickly. He says it's because he loves them both and wants them to get along, and he'd rather ruin his first kiss than make them fight. The girls tell him he can kiss either one because they don't want him to waste his first kiss. This shocks Raro, but the girls let him know that they love him. Rintaro gives them both a hug and seems to think of another idea. He tells them they could kiss each other 3 times. At first, he didn't think they'd go for it, but he saw how well they got along. He believes it will work. The girls feel bad about kissing each other, but they agree in the end, and that's when all 3 of them share their first kiss. The next day, Rintaro and the girls are at the library. Akari wants to find a recipe to make him more food, but she and Inda get into a fight over a book about how to win a man's heart through his stomach. Rintaro tells them to get along and reminds them of how they both shared. All it takes is one kiss to make the girls feel bad. Even though Rintaro is looking for another book, he meets another girl who shocks him right away. He starts to think that she might be another one of his soulmates. The girl steps back, and Rintaro realizes that she is the librarian. The girl doesn't say anything, but she points to words in her book to talk to him. Rintaro doesn't understand this at first, so he thinks they shouldn't talk in the library. When she asks him what he wants, he tries to hide the fact that he's looking for something. This is a funny way to look for a story. She asks him. He asks her the same question about why he's not talking. She says she's sorry and gets ready to get someone else to help him, but he stops her and asks for her help. Rintaro asks her to pick out some books for him because he wants to read a relationship story with a happy ending. To his surprise, she ends up picking out a mountain of books. The girl tells him she's sorry and to just pick the ones he wants, but he tells her he'll take them all because she chose them for him. When he goes to check them out, his library card isn't ready yet, so he can't borrow any of the books, but she does offer him her own book. Rintaro gladly agrees, and he wants to know what her name is. We learn when the girl shows him her ID. At night, she goes by the name Shizuka. Rintaro reads the book, which is about a princess and her knight. The knight swears to be loyal to the princess and even looks out for her from a dragon. The princess is set to marry another prince, so the knight rushes out to her, wishing there was a way for them to defy their fates. Rintaro cheers for them, but the story ends on a cliffhanger. The next day, Rintaro thanks Shizuka for the book and finds that she brought him the second one. He is thrilled to accept it, but he thinks he needs to find a way to repay her. He gets her a drink, and then they go outside and talk about the book. He is impressed by how well she knows the book because she can use it to interact with any word. But Shizuka is just glad that Rintaro doesn't think it's weird that she has never had a real friend and tells him that. This Rintaro gets an idea and asks to borrow her first book again. We see that Shizuka brought Rintaro the third book the next day, but he still doesn't show up, even after a few days as she walks around the school. Rintaro is with Hikari and Enda, she sees. He says he's been busy at night, but he looks very sleepy. The girls try to guess what he might be doing, but Rintaro just yawns again. Ki kisses him and tells him she's giving him her energy. Rintaro then hugs him. She calls her angel, but Indus says she can also give him a lot of energy. Shizuka knows he has a lover and thinks he must be too busy to read because she goes in to kiss him but hits him in the head instead. It makes her feel bad that the other girls think she's weird because of the way she talks, and even her mother wants her to speak. Rintaro comes to find her and tells her he can finally pay her back for giving him her books. Usually, she thinks no one has time to talk to someone like her. He gives her an app to put on her phone and then tells her he copied the first book. He shows her how to pick out words and make a sound for them. Shizuka knows that the ebook was never made public, so Rintaro typed the whole thing by hand. Rintaro says that she and the book have never talked face-to-face because she always had to look at the book. They can look at each other while she talks, though, thanks to the app, he says. He thinks this will help her communicate, and he tells her to give it a try. When he tells her she loves him, she quickly takes it back and tells him not to worry. Rintaro tells her that he loves her too, though Shizuka thinks they are meant to be apart, but Rintaro says they will work it out. He shows Shizuka to the other girls and asks them to add her as his new girlfriend. Inda thinks he's crazy, but she thanks him for staying with them. Reinero says that his feelings about them haven't changed even though he's found someone else. He compares them to an oil field and Shizuka to a brand new field, saying that adding Shizuka won't change anything about them. He plans to love them even more than he did before. He says he will show it by his deeds and that if he ever fails them, he will make up for it by committing seppuku, even if that means ordering a special knife from Amazon. It turns out that Indet agrees, and Rento gains a new girlfriend. There are still 97 soulmates to find though, so don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you soon.